throughout this hour. We'll have work coverage on Monday Night Football. We got the Saints Chargers, of course, Major League Baseball between the Dodgers, Braves, game number 1 of the NLCS. And, of course, there'll be a lot of football, guys, as basketball now is in our rearview mirror as we move toward baseball playoffs and, of course, college basketball a little more than a month away. But we'll take a look here at our cappers for today's show. We'll have Kevin Thomas in as Brian Bittler will join us. El Nino's off that really good NFL on Sunday. He'll be in the studio. And Chris Ruffalo joins me, and Chris will be my co-host for today. Chris, how you doing? Keeping eyes here on this Astros and Tampa Bay Rays game.
Yeah, it's been a great game so far, and Manuel Margot just seems to step into the limelight just when the Rays need him the most, hitting that clutch home run and having arguably the catch of the postseason, taking away a home run from the Astros early on. This is going to be a great series, no matter how long it goes. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of this game and even the later game tonight as well. Yeah,
it should be a really good card tonight. Lots going on, and of course, we look here as we turn the page over here to the NFL. Cowboys. Andy Dalton will go in here as Dak Prescott really has damage to broken ankle dislocation. Pretty rough there for the Cowboys.
Dak Prescott was, in my personal life, he's a quarterback that I like to rag on because a lot of my friends are Cowboys fans. But at the end of the day, I mean, you still got to respect professional athletes for what they do. You could see the dejection on his face when he was being carted off the field. He's a guy that very proud, but also loves what he does, good days and bad. I wish him all the best going forward. A speedy recovery, that's for sure.
Yeah, Raheem Morris, the inevitable. Quinn out at Atlanta, we saw that coming. And the general manager has just been it's been another bad season. Blank, he gave him a shot, and a lot of people said, Blanks, it was nice to give him one more year, but couldn't get it done. And, of course, Raheem Morris takes over.
Yeah, Dan Quinn was just another one of those guys that was you were kind of just waiting for the other shoe to drop on an 0-5 start, even without Julio Jones in the lineup occasionally. You still got Matt Ryan, who we talked about on the morning show a couple days ago, was going to make around $25-30 million for the next couple seasons. You got to produce when you have a high-paid roster like this, and unfortunately for Dan Quinn, it was a matter of the Falcons finding just a bunch of different ways to lose games this year. This past weekend, it was just that they couldn't really get ahead of the Carolina Panthers, and an 0-5 start, it's going to happen eventually. Houston didn't wait as long as we saw last week, but maybe it's a sign of things to come for Atlanta. Maybe they can start to turn it around. They did it a couple years ago. They finished strong, so we'll see if they can do that here as well.
Over in the colleges, Clemson with the roll against Miami, and of course Oklahoma and Texas, multiple overtimes, but again, some defensive lapse on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson, we heard it from Mitch all week, that he thought Miami was in trouble. And, Clemson just goes out and shows, why they are the number one team in the nation. They keep playing well. They keep, taking care of whoever's put in front of them and setting them down with relative, if not, some comfortable ease. And, that was the Oklahoma-Texas game. If you told me at the beginning of the year, week 5, that Oklahoma, Texas, this early in the season was going to be a Big 12 title game eliminator, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But, that was the situation we're in. But again, another exciting Big 12 conference game, went to multiple overtimes. I'm excited to see what the rest of the Big 12 is going to offer up this season.
Yeah, so am I. All right, guys, this is the drive-through. We're here Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Still a lot of picks coming, so let's go ahead and get started. And welcome to the show, Brian Bittler. You'll listen to him and watch him with Chris in the morning show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Brian, how you doing? How did the NFL treat you yesterday?
Well, college football treated me great overall. NFL has been not so good this year. I'm looking to turn the page on the first quarter of the season and move into the next part. I'm bound to turn around, play to the back of my baseball card. Looking for a big week coming up.
Yeah, looking for a big week coming up for Brian Bittler. Okay, Brian, you're taking a look here at the baseball playoffs. We've got Frieda and Bueller tonight going at it. Of course, the Dodgers here are going to be about $1.40 favorite. Total sitting here at, let's see, last check it was about 8. Let's see if it stays there. It sticks there at 8. Yeah, 8.5 now. It's up to 8.5. And, of course, it's Fried, who's pitched well, though his last start, he did give up a lot of innings. And Bueller, you always got to worry about that blister from Bueller.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, This is one of my 2 premium picks today. I absolutely love the Atlanta Braves for the plus money that you're getting. Not to take anything away from the Dodgers, but Max Fried had a really spectacular year. Cooled off a little bit as the postseason. Walker Buehler has gotten better as the season has gone on. But I think those Atlanta Braves bats are red hot right now, and for the price that you're getting, it's worth a shot at the Braves. I think this is a 7-game series, so I think the Braves take the game 1.
Chris, looking here at this Dodgers series, we saw the Braves struggle against Cincinnati pitching. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the top 2 in that rotation. You got obviously Walker Buehler going tonight and Clayton Kershaw going tomorrow. But the rest of that rotation's kind of just been a mishmash of guys coming in. You have Dustin May, who's gone 6-7 innings here and there, but he's also gone 1 or 2. He's a guy that could throw 100 miles an hour, but it's all a matter of how long he's going to go into games, and he hasn't been the most consistent. Another guy like Urias, a guy that I love bashing in the Dodgers rotation. He's a guy that tends to give you 5 innings, but he gets hit very, very hard. And against a team that has the bats the same, the ones that Atlanta does, it can be it's going to be a test for these latter pitchers in the Dodgers rotation. And I think Brian's dead on. I think we do have at least a 6, if not 7-game series coming out of this one between 2 teams that can swing the bats with the best of them in the majors.
Yeah, it looks that way. Of course, Brian, you're going to be here on this one. You're going to be here on the Atlanta Braves plus the money. Your thoughts here on their pitching staff and getting to the bullpen?
I really think that the best bullpen between the Braves and the Dodgers end up winning this series. The Dodgers have a good bullpen. Braves have a good bullpen. I think whichever bullpen does the best is going to take this series. Both teams have 2 really solid starting pitchers, and then after that, it's a little iffy. So it's going to be an interesting game 3 to see who the Braves send to the mound. I'm going to be interested in seeing what the line is for that one.
Chris, when we get down into this, it's 7 games in 7 days. We get into game 4, 5, 6, and 7. We can start seeing some pitching fatigue. Anywhere from the totals, I'm kind of looking at a total strategy, maybe lower scoring early. But man, once we get into that game 4, 5, 6, 7, where we got to keep an eye on how many innings these pitchers are going. Of course, some of these managers like to rotate the relievers, every other day. Is that something going to be really looking closely at?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think that's exactly what we're going to see for a lot of these later games. If this series does end up going 6 or 7 games, a lot of these teams are used to playing, 2 weeks straight, or even with the new adjusted schedule over the last couple of years, at least having 1 day off. So playing 7 days in a row isn't going to be anything new, and these pitchers are used to going on 4 days rest anyways. I think the occurrence of a bullpen game is definitely not out of the question. But yeah, I think we're going to see, if you see a reliever in game 3, you're probably not going to see him until game 5. And I think even the setup man and a closer, I think those could even change from game to game as well.
Speaking of closers, Dodgers got a dilemma, Brian. Who's going to close for them?
Boy, you know what? That's a good question, and I wish I could see my notes, but I forgot my glasses here, so I'm kind of everything's blurry to me. But Dodgers overall as a bullpen, if Jensen has trouble, I think that's going to be a real question mark for him if they can get through that 9th inning. It's going to be hairy.
Yeah, well, as we get deeper in the playoffs, that's when the pressure builds, and that's where we've seen the Dodger bullpen have their woes. And let's face it, I know Kershaw's had some crooked numbers, Chris, but the bullpen really didn't help him too much.
No, they didn't. I mean, it's unfortunate when you have a guy like Kenley Jansen who gets a lot of credit, and I don't want to. Hype's not the right word, but I can't think of the right word right now. He gets a lot of he gets blown up a little bit as this lockdown closer in the NL West, and because he's on the Dodgers, shuts down a lot of games. He's had his fair share of blown saves over the past couple of years. And, if you have a couple bullpen guys, like, for example, Caleb Ferguson, I've seen Caleb Ferguson give up, late inning home runs more than any other reliever in that rotation. And, it's the unfortunate, reality for the Dodgers that if you have seven strong innings from Kershaw, a 1-run or a 2-run lead isn't safe with some of the guys in that bullpen. And, it's the truth that they're left with. But, you just got to kind of close your eyes and hope for the best at that point.
Absolutely. All right, Brian, as we hit the bottom of the hour, what do you have going on over at Pick Dogs Premium?
Tell you what, a special just until 7. 3 days, every single pick I do for just $59.95. That's a 3-day pass. That's half price. Normally it's about $110. So guys, check that out. PickDogs.com premium picks 3-day pass, $59.95.
All right, check them out over at Pig Dogs Premium. Keep up that pass. Brian, as always, great having your show. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you at the end of the week.
See you guys tomorrow.
All right, everybody. Brian Pittler here on the drive-thru. Joined back here with Chris Ruffalo. Still a lot more picks coming. A little game discussion here. Of course, this game will start right when the show goes on the air tomorrow. Chris, that's the Dodgers and the Braves game 2. Ian Anderson against Kershaw. I'd have to think the total, 7.5, 7 in this one. And, of course, there's going to be a big number there on Kershaw. But Anderson has pitched pretty well.
Yeah, I was going to say 7. I would also say don't be surprised if you see a couple 6.5s out there. Kershaw's turned back to vintage Kershaw, at least from what we see in the regular season. 14 innings this postseason. He's allowed 3 runs, struck out 19. And it's like you said earlier, he's given up. It's his bullpen that's sort of let him down in these spots. But Ian Anderson for the Braves, man, this is a guy that I didn't expect much coming up from the farm system. But, posting a 1.95 ERA and 6 starts down the stretch of the regular season. He's almost thrown 12 full scoreless innings in his first 2 postseason starts with 17 strikeouts. I can see a pitcher's duel here, and with Kershaw, he also has I think I read a .43 career ERA in the postseason against the Braves. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of zeros going up on the board in the first 2 games of this series. I think I touched on it a few days ago. Going into tonight, the Braves have put up 37 scoreless innings out of 40 in the postseason. So this pitching staff, while the bottom end of it is still a mishmash, they're executing when it counts.
Yeah, I think the best pitcher they faced was Woodruff. I mean, and the LA Bats didn't really produce much. I think it was like a 3-0 win when they faced Woodruff. And then you look at the Padres series where we didn't see their guy Lamet, and Clevenger wasn't himself. He was pitching with pain.
Yeah, I mean Clevenger, I'm worried about his elbow again, to tell you the truth. I think that's going to be something that we're going to have to keep an eye on going forward. And you're starting to wonder if maybe the Padres maybe miss the mark on that trade if he potentially needs another long-term elbow surgery. Again, hope that doesn't happen to him. But and Zach Davies also didn't really step up either in the postseason start. He was one of their most consistent starters all season long, but he's just another one of those pitchers. And when you get to the postseason, look out. There are certain guys that can step up and certain guys that can't. I'm worried that Davies might be one of the ones that can't going forward.
Yeah, that's true. And, of course, I remember the no Lamet, of course, no Corbin Burns for the Brewers, and, of course, one of their top relievers was out. So Dodgers took a little breaks in that first 2 series.
Yeah, and you know what? I would have really liked to have seen Corbin Burns in that matchup because he was one of the bright spots for Milwaukee this season. And, the Dodgers can catch so many breaks, and you start to wonder at a certain point where, guys like myself be like, oh, well, they had it too easy. But then it's situations like that where players tend to be like, oh, you think we had it easy? Okay, we'll show you what we can do when crunch time's on. And this is where we're going to have to see. This is the Dodgers put up or shut up time, as we can put it so quaintly, that this is where they're either going to, they're going to whip out the bats and just say, you know what, we're here to play, or the analysis is going to be dead on, and that cakewalk they had up to this point isn't going to do them any good. So we're going to see, definitely. All
right, guys, that's Chris Ruffalo. Join me here on the drive-thru. More picks coming. Let's go ahead and welcome in another one of the Pig Dogs. We welcome Kevin Thomas to the show. Kevin, how you doing? Enjoying this Astros game?
I am. How you guys doing?
Oh, can't complain. Of course, we looked at this the football from the weekend. Of course, a lot of these schedule adjustments, with this COVID, it's really having an impact on this league as we're seeing 8 to 10 games rescheduled here.
Yes, and we don't even know if Tuesday is gonna happen for sure. I mean, it could get canceled before the kickoff. I mean, they already had another coach test positive, so they're saying it's going to be a go, and I'm hoping it is.
Yeah, it was right.
Because it's just going to mess up Thursday. That's going to mess up Thursday's schedule, and then push all the games back. It's just going to make it harder for us guys to pick them.
Yeah, they're really tough on the players, the practice, the coaches. It's a situation we're in now. Of course, no Thursday night football this week, and of course, it's interesting how the NFL will take it. But again, we just got to go look at it day by day. Look at the positives. There still were, not every game was canceled. We had a lot more played than canceled. So I think we just got to look at it that way. Hopefully they can control the spread. But one game you're going to be looking at, and there was been a line move, Kevin, when you put this one out. Your Buffalo and Tennessee, it was at 3, but it was heavily juiced. It's now about 3.5. Total here, high total here of 53.5, with both defenses real rested for this one.
Super rested for the Titans, but I think 2 weeks off is too much, and not getting any time playing or any time, together, working as a team. The only thing they have as a benefit is that team has been together, for the past 2 years now. So it's not like they have a ton of rookies or a new coaching staff or anything. But the way Buffalo's playing, I'm okay taking the -3.5 here. They're lights out. I mean, Josh, the kid's a stud. I mean, they just, that quarterback's tall, 12 TDs, 1 interception. I love him. So I wish I had him on my fantasy team, but I don't. So.
What are your thoughts here on this Buffalo Bills, Chris? And of course, the play they're getting from Josh Allen, their quarterback, young kid.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin hit the nail right on the head. I mean, 12 touchdowns to 1 interception so far this season. It's playing lights out. You're starting to really see why, Buffalo made the reach to go get Stephon Diggs, because Josh Allen needed a home run hitter, and Diggs has definitely brought that to the lineup, leading the team in receiving yardage. As far as this game goes, I think his analysis down as well. I think Buffalo, they've struggled against defending the pass, but luckily that's not Tennessee's MO. They like to run and ground and pound and use Derrick Henry for good reason to stuff the ball down the opposing team's throats. That's going to leave Buffalo. They can sell out to stop Henry a little bit. They can leverage that, and I think Buffalo does win this one by a touchdown. I think Kevin's dead on with this one.
Yeah, Buffalo here.
To make another point, I mean, Henderson is the Rams running back. He's the only one to rush for 100 yards against them this year. And you got to remember, Norman, he just rejoined the team after being out for 3 weeks. So, I mean, he's not a shutdown corner by far, but he helped out big time last week. So I think this defense is going to be a lot better than people think, especially against a Titans team that just wants to pound the rock. And their best receiver is going to be playing his first game. He's been out with he didn't have COVID. He was hurt. So the rookie, no, he's not a rookie though. Shit.
AJ Brown.
Yeah, he's playing.
Yeah, they're getting a Brown back. Of course, the concern here is if Tennessee, Chris, can kind of exploit that Buffalo Bills defense with the pass. Kevin said it doesn't look that way. Tannehill, and of course the passing game. That's something you're going to see on film, but it's going to be hard to replicate because the Rams were able to actually draw a small lead on them after being down in their game.
Yeah, for me watching Tennessee over the last couple of years, it's been apparently clear that Tannehill's one of those guys that, yes, we know he's a capable quarterback. That's why they paid him the big bucks. But at the end of the day, you go to play where your strength is. You're not going to walk into a gunfight with a knife and you're going to hope for the best. You're going to go what brought you there. And if Derrick Henry is your best player and you want to hand the ball to him 35 times and only let Tannehill air it out 20, 25 times in a game, that's what you're going to do. And it's what Tennessee's, like I said, it's what their MO is going to be for this game. I think that they can try to air it out. You do have AJ Brown, and you do have some solid receivers. You have a couple nice tight ends in Tennessee. But at the end, you got to go to where your bread and butter is, and I think that's going to sort of leverage out, and that's what's going to give Buffalo an edge on the defensive end compared to Tennessee's offense.
All right, here on the drive-through, guys, every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. A lot more picks coming. Kevin, as we hit the bottom of the hour, what do you have going on over at Big Dogs Premium?
I have a top pick on tonight's NFL game, and then you can always check out my 3-day, 7-day passes. I'm one of the top cappers last 30 days, so you can lock in the savings there and jump on one of those good deals.
All right, yeah, check out Kevin Thomas over at Big Dogs Premium. Pick up one of those packages. Those long-term packages are the best value up there, aren't they, Chris?
Absolutely. I mean, I see all the guys putting up their seven 30-day packages up there, and I'm like, man, some of these guys, you look at them on the leaderboards, I'm like, I even want to buy one. I see Kevin up there all the time. I'm like, I want to buy one of his packages, man. Like, you see all
Oh,
these
thank
guys are
you.
doing so well.
Thank you.
You see all these guys that are doing so well, and you can't. I said this even when I'm selling my stuff. You can't go wrong with any of these guys. I mean, these are some of the best minds in the business, and and I'm not just blowing smoke because Kevin's sitting right next to me on the screen. But again, the numbers are there for a reason, and they definitely don't lie.
All right. Thank you,
Appreciate
Chris
that.
and Kevin. Appreciate you on the show, Kevin. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. See you next Monday. Thank you.
All right, our buddy Kevin Thomas here on the drive-through here, joined by Chris Ruffalo here. Chris, let's take a look at the game. Of course, we did have that one cancellation in the SEC with Missouri and Vanderbilt. I know you were real upset with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, but then I think you sort of talked me down a little bit to not be as upset. It Vanderbilt, and I keep saying this on the weekends, is Vanderbilt's going to be a rebuild for this season, especially with a freshman quarterback leading the charge. And, maybe Missouri wasn't in the best spot to capitalize after such a big win over LSU, but they're going to make it up later down the road, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you better be on, defensively against Vandy, because one thing with Vandy, they do have an experienced defense, but it didn't show last week, but it did show against A&M, and it's kind of one of those situations where it's going to be an ugly game. They're going to be in the muck. It's going to be ugly. It got a little away from them, but then again, it's the scoring is going to be depressed with the South Carolina, and that usually happens when they don't have a quarterback and they're very young on offense. We see it all the time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you look at it. I'm just saying, 41-7 in back-to-back weeks doesn't instill a whole lot of confidence in me personally. That's all. That's the only point I was trying to make there.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look here. It's ACC game. Clemson and Georgia Tech. Clemson opened big here. It's 26.5, 27 in some places. Total at 60.5 points. And of course, Georgia Tech coming off that win as they beat Louisville. But Clemson, they got the number against Miami with a nice victory. We saw that big second half comeback by Georgia Tech in their win. Tigers have Boston College and Notre Dame coming up. Of course, this is a noon game, so it may not be as high profile. But when you look at their past five, Clemson have not covered in 4 of their past 5. We've seen when they go to the bench, the backups they usually don't extend that lead. Your thoughts here in this matchup?
Yeah, Georgia Tech's been a hard team for me to try to figure out this year. I mean, they start the year off with that win against Florida State, who, I mean, in reality, outside of last week, it didn't look like that win would have counted for much of anything, considering they struggled to put away Jacksonville State a couple weeks ago, but that's besides the point. And they lose to Syracuse, who I think is probably going to finish at the bottom of the ACC this year anyways. But then, like you said, they come out and beat Louisville last week. So, I mean, it's hard for me to figure out. What isn't hard for me to figure out, like I said earlier, is Clemson is the best team in the ACC without a shadow of a doubt. And, this feels like the kind of game that I don't know who Clemson has on deck next, but if it's somebody of some decent quality, it could be a look-ahead spot. But with the way that Clemson was tearing apart the ACC last year, I don't think there is such a thing as a look-ahead. I mean, the closest thing would have been that Miami game last week, and Clemson handled that with ease. So, I mean, I'm looking for Clemson to roll here. I think this one's got beat down written all over it. I think, what did you say the line was? Minus 28?
26.5 and 27.
26.5. I think this could be something like a 42-14 kind of game, or something along those lines where maybe they put up 35 by the half and Georgia Tech makes it a little bit interesting late, but at the end of it, they fall short.
Yeah, the way their schedule for Clemson works is they got BC the following week and then Notre Dame. So, again, BC might be the spot where you kind of circle there and take a close look at it.
Yeah, BC could be the letdown spot, definitely. And now that you mention it, because I forgot that Notre Dame was just joining the ACC for this year. We didn't have that game last year, but I think next week's going to be the game where we have to watch for a little bit of a look ahead. Yeah,
that's right. Look for those look-aheads because they kind of pop in. We saw that happen with Texas and Oklahoma. There's the rivalry games come up, and sometimes you see that letdown. All right, guys, we're here on the drive-through bot, just past the bottom of the hour. A lot more picks coming for you. We got that Monday Night Football pick, Chargers and Saints coming up in a couple of segments. But now, Chris, you're going to be looking at this one. A special. We love these Wednesday games. Usually they're MAC. We'll get the MAC a little later next month, but. This Coastal Carolina team has been playing well. They're dogs against Louisiana. Louisiana's got the quarterback back there. in Levi, but I haven't covered many. Haven't had success on the point spread here, but they're going to play a touchdown and a half. Total sits here at 58.
Yeah, I think to tell you the truth, the Sun Belt's been one of my favorite conferences to watch this season. How they've sort of stepped up against the big boys, and Coastal was one of those teams. They beat down on Kansas earlier to start the year, and Louisiana had that solid win over, I believe, Iowa State to start their year. And the difference for me though is that these are two more evenly matched teams than a name brand would suggest, and the ranking, especially for Louisiana, would suggest. I mean, yes, Coastal had the win over Campbell, and then they won their last game. I believe they beat Tulane as well. But so I'm just pulling out here. Sorry, I stand corrected. It was Kansas, then Campbell, then Arkansas State they beat, but they hung 52 on Arkansas State. You go to Louisiana, they beat Iowa State, but they've had a couple close calls in their last couple games. They needed overtime to beat Georgia State. They beat Georgia Southern by 2. It failed to cover the spread as double-digit favorite in both those games. Coastal also leads the country in time of possession. They have almost 60% possession up to this point in the season. I think Coastal does another good job, containing Louisiana, running down the clock, chewing up a lot of clock here. I think they also have probably the best front seven in the Sun Belt, as well as a solid secondary. I think they're going to make life difficult for Louisiana here, and I could see this one being a 3-4 point game, if not a Coastal Carolina outright victory. So I'm going to take the points with the Chanticleers in this one.
All right, Chris says go ahead and take Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers plus the points, plus the 7.5 against the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. All right, continuing here on the drive-through, and Chris, we see you over at Pig Dogs Premium. What do you have going on up the site?
I love having something every day, for people who tune into the show. So just for today, I'm gonna mark this down to the top of the hour. I have my Monday Night Mayhem package. I have it up there for $29.95. I'm gonna put it down as low as I can go, $25. It's gonna give you 2 top plays for the Monday Night Football game tonight, my side and total, as well as my top play for the NLCS game 1 tonight between the Braves and the Dodgers. And just till midnight tonight, I'm gonna lower my longer term packages. You're gonna be able to get a 3-day package for $59.95 or a 7-day package for $79.95. People are like, lower the package. There's not much going on this week, so where's the real value? Guys, there's going to be something every day. There's going to be at least 2 baseball games for the next 2 or 3 days, if not more, and I'm doubting that there's going to be a sweep in either of these series. And we're going to have football every day, and that 7-day package will get you all the way up to the weekend, through the weekend, into Monday night, into next week. So, guys, honestly, you're going to get some phenomenal value out of those packages. Don't miss out on this tonight.
That's right, guys. Check out Chris Ruffalo over at Pig Dogs. Pick up one of those long-term packages. Football season is here, and we're getting right in the middle of it. So go ahead and pick up one of those long-term packages. All right, guys, here on the drive-thru. There's still a lot more to cover here. We got the Monday Night Football game coming up. We'll look at that in a few. But, Chris, I'd like to get your thoughts here on this Auburn-South Carolina game. That's an early start here on Saturday. Auburn favored on the road, 3.5. Total sits here at 49.5. Of course, Auburn in that close call against Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with Auburn. Excuse me. It's just one of those things where you think I came into the season having high expectations for Bo Nix, thinking he's going to be the next great Auburn quarterback. The next one that's going to step in and lead a Gus Malzahn offense. But for whatever reason, yes. Auburn beat Kentucky in week 1, but I think that game was a lot closer than the score would indicate. And then they got roughhoused by Georgia, and then the Tigers came in and narrowly, by the skin of their teeth, get by an Arkansas team that had won the week prior, but also was a team that didn't win a conference game last year. So, I think there's some issues going on with Auburn. I don't know what's not clicking right now, what's not gelling. And, South Carolina hasn't been great for much of the year. Yes, they beat Vanderbilt, but they've also had struggles bringing in Colin Hill from Colorado State. And, with the new offense led by Mike Bobo, I think there's value that's going to be had with the points here, but this isn't a game I'm rushing to the window to bet. How about you, Tony?
Yeah, that one here is tough to look at myself because, when you look at the Auburn team, they allowed Arkansas to throw for 318 yards against them. And South Carolina, one thing they did here with Bobo is they're able to, bring in Hill, get a little improvement on the passing game. but the defense is defending the run very well. But again, this is a pretty step up in opponents. One thing I'm concerned here on the South Carolina side is how they match on the offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was one of those things where I kind of laughed because, watching BYU step all over everybody this season, not to go on a tangent, but you kind of see how the size difference can really, really make that much of a difference on the lines. And, I think we're starting to see it with Auburn. And, Auburn, I said last year they lost a couple guys to the draft, but it just seems that, Coach Malzahn always seems to have a retooling of that defense, no matter who steps in and who fills the void. It's still a very, very good Auburn defense, even though we didn't really see much of it against Georgia. It still only gave up, I believe it only gave up 28 points. So, Auburn's solid defensively. And it's hard for me to gauge South Carolina because, like I said, that one win over Vanderbilt doesn't really tell me a whole lot. And they have been getting pushed around a little bit against everyone else. So I think this is going to be a definite test for both sides. We're going to kind of get a better feel for what we have going forward after this week.
All right, here, guys. This is the drive-through on Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. each time. A lot of picks coming. Now it's time to look at Monday Night Football, and welcome to the show, El Ninos. El, how you doing? You got to be feeling very good here. Your Lakers got it done.
Yeah, now it's the Dodgers' turn to get it done.
Well, they're a little bit more due, my friend.
Yes, they are. I've been waiting pretty much my whole life for them to come through. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, as I said, great. Very, very happy for the Lakers. Obviously, that was awesome. But yeah, as I said, still got the Dodgers going on. So that's what we're looking forward to now.
So you're not even taking time to celebrate your victory. You're running out with all those fans.
We did.
Around? Oh, you did. Okay.
Unfortunately, no. I was. I thought I had the chance of maybe being in LA this time of year, but no. Unfortunately, it looks like missed the whole celebration over there. Maybe next time, though.
Maybe next time you can catch that celebration. So you're trying to pull in the Dodgers home. We'll see what they can do here. Wait, before we've covered the game, but maybe get your thoughts here, how you feel about the matchup here in Game 1 with Buehler on the hill against Fried.
Yeah, again, I mean, they went with Buehler Game 1. I definitely don't think he's their best starter. He's a good pitcher, don't get me wrong, but I think they have a lot more talented pitchers in their lineup. And obviously, these are two great offenses. They're going to go at it. Fried's had a great season. But again, yeah, he's up against a tough lineup, so this should be interesting. I mean, I went back and forth on this total, and as you said, I mean, it's some interesting looks you could have with that one. You could definitely go for maybe the first 5 under if you think both those are going to come out strong, and then and maybe try to in-game it and get a lower number on that over for the full game. I think that might be a good opportunity for that. But yeah, it should be an interesting game, interesting series, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
All right. Other than Buehler, unfortunately, Buehler and Kershaw can't pitch Game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So what are you going to be doing in 3 and 4?
Well, it depends what they do with their bullpen and who they use there, but I would like to see a lot more of May starting. He got a short start last time, I believe, and I just wanted to see a lot more of him. I know he gave up. He got some runners on base early, but I think he could have got himself out of that trouble. He's a great young pitcher. He's got some really nasty stuff. He throws about 100 miles an hour with a lot of movement on it. So definitely think he's going to have a great career if he could stay healthy and all that. But yeah, he's definitely in a good spot to do it, and definitely getting plenty of run support too, which is something a lot of other great pitchers haven't had the luxury of having. So he's got that going for him.
That is true. That is true. And of course, the thing is, May has been sort of the Robin to Buehler. So are you going to separate those two? And they have some sort of an affair going on. One starts and he finishes. So what's going to happen there when you separate Buehler and May?
Well, if I had to separate them, I would definitely put May on top. But, it's still early. I mean, he's still young. Maybe he's just off to a great start. But I don't know. I think he has a lot of potential. I think he's going to have a great career, as I said.
All right. But, we're looking here maybe Urias in Game 4. So if they pull these guys early, hold your breath, my friend. Hold your breath because it's going to be tough. We got the Joe Kelly coming in, the Baez. I mean, whew, you're going to have to really be sweating a little bit. Might have to sweat this one out.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be facing some great batters, too. So
yes. That's where you got to be worried about.
I stayed away from the total. I wanted to make a play on it. I guess I'm leaning more towards the over for the full game because I think these offenses will just get hot sooner or later throughout the game. But yeah, again, interesting matchup. Freed's had a great season. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, because I don't think you can use May in this spot. I don't think May can come in and pitch 5, 6, and 7, because if you want to use him as a game 3 starter, you can't. Fortunately, you don't have Rich Hill anymore. Maeda's gone. No Ryu. Shelf's a little thin, so we'll see how that one goes. All right, it's Monday Night Football. Go ahead.
I was going to say they definitely have to do whatever it takes to get off to a start. You don't want to fall behind in these series. I mean, the Braves are a very good team. If you fall behind, it could get ugly really fast. So I definitely think they will give it their best if they need to. I mean, unless they got a huge lead, then they could save the better pitchers to start the later games. But if it's a close game, I do expect them to, maybe use them out the bullpen.
All right, Al, it's Monday Night Football, Chargers and Saints at 8:15 Eastern start time, with the Saints favored by 7. We saw this one early in the week at 8. It's down to 7. Total sits here at 49.5, 50. You can shop the number. Of course, we know Herbert's been playing well. He's now listed as the starter. Starting quarterback, he has a high completion ratio. We've got to keep those interceptions down. We'll see how he does. Of course, there's Drew Brees. Of course, they did suffer some losses this season. But one thing to note here with that Chargers defense, they did cover in games against the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. So how do you see this one?
Well, I see a pretty entertaining Monday Night Football game between an old veteran quarterback that's pretty big name amongst quarterbacks, despite not having his best season, against an up and coming another quarterback that's a young quarterback loaded with potential. I think Herbert is going to have another great career too. As you said, he needs to take better care of the ball. I guess falling a bit into Rivers' footsteps there, but I think he'll work on that. I mean, he's a rookie. That'll happen. Rookies do make mistakes, especially at the QB spot, and I think he'll settle down to his position as he gets more games under his belt. Yeah, he's definitely done well enough to earn the starting job here. I'm not too surprised. I thought he was going to earn it sooner or later this season. Obviously, we've seen this line go. You talked about the spread coming down, and the totals come down a bit with the news of Thomas getting suspended for that fight he had with his teammate. And I think, Thomas would have been a nice addition for this play. I still think we have enough playmakers here to get us over this total. Kamara is one of the best players in the league. He does make Breeze look very good. He's great support for him. And you might think, too, that's a running back, so that'll drain the clock. So you might think an under, but he's capable of making some really big plays and going on big runs. And even he's a great receiver, too, so, expect him to catch a few, too. And, again, Herbert might have some interceptions, but again, that's maybe not as bad as having to punt the ball for this over as well. So, and I don't think he's just going to turn the ball over. I expect the Chargers to put some points up in this one too. So yeah, taking this game to go over the total.
Chris, we talk a lot about Breeze, the Saints offense, Herbert, but when you look at the points allowed here by the Saints, you look at the past 3 games, they've given up an average of 33 points a game.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that defense. I mean, that's my fantasy defense, and that's as much as we don't like talking about fantasy sports on here. But it's I think that's where missing a Marshawn Lattimore is definitely going to hurt. And I mean, I won't lie to you. I had the Lions last week against the Saints because I just thought, what, that secondary is still going to get torn up. And you look at just what's been going on with the Saints. I mean, yes, the offense has been there. But that's because the offense has had to step up because the defense hasn't been there. So I mean, it's going to go hand in hand more often than it doesn't. And I'd like to say it's a matter of one hand washing the other, but in reality, it's just been the one hand by itself. And the offense can only do so much before the defense is the lack of defense is gonna catch up. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those spots. I mean, the Chargers have a solid offense. They do have guys like Keenan Allen. They have Justin Herbert leading the charge. It's just going to be a matter of if the Chargers find a way to step up here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. They find a way to step up here in this one. Looking at taking the points, I did it myself in this one. Al, as we take a look here, as we get to close to the top of the hour over at Pig Dogs, I know your NFL has been good. What do you have going on? Very good.
Yeah, I have my play on the side. Yeah, I had a pretty good Sunday, and hope to keep going through this. We got a few games through this week, so I hope to get, as I said, I got my play on the side for tonight. Got a play for tomorrow as well. And I suggest you start looking at some of these lines for next week because there's some good numbers that might get missed soon. So
All
yeah,
right.
definitely some good games next week.
All right, you're already studying the next week's card there, Mr. L. All right, sounds very good.
Look nice.
Yeah, that looks some look nice. All right, Al, as always, great having you show. Have a great week, and we'll be back tomorrow.
All right, have a good one, guys.
All right, our buddy Al Nino's here on the Drive-Thru Show. All right, guys, we're here every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Place channel, YouTube channel. More picks coming. We're going to be looking here at a college football game, Chris, between Kentucky and Tennessee. I thought this was a hard one to really look at, to pick. The line here sits Tennessee favored at 6.5 points. I had a little bit more faith in this Kentucky team. I thought they'd be a little better, especially with Wilson back in quarterback. But last year was such a weird season when they had to shuffle in those quarterbacks. Lynn Bowden was in there. They were running the ball more than throwing. Now you got Wilson under center. And, of course, the Tennessee looking to rebound in this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to have to do some rebounding after they play Georgia this year. And to tell you the truth, I mean, I'm not overly concerned about Tennessee this year. You know, the loss to Georgia, like I said, a bunch of teams are going to end up in the same boat. Tennessee's still playing really, really well right now, though. I mean, you look at Tennessee coming into this one, 6-2-1 against the spread in their last 9 within the conference. As far as Kentucky goes, that win over Mississippi State would have had a little bit more emphasis on it had the air raid offense not completely crashed and burned like it has the last couple weeks. And I don't know if that speaks more to Mississippi State than it does Kentucky, but I mean, I'm still just not sold on Kentucky for whatever reason this year. I think is the line -6 right now? What was the last I saw?
It was 5. It's moved to 6, and the total sits here at 47.5 to 48.5. So the total's kind of course, this time, you can pick off some numbers, look for some line variances. That's why I like looking at college football early in the week, because you obviously can find some good numbers, because sometimes you'll see a huge variance in these numbers. But anyway, going back to this one, as you asked about the line, we're seeing at a total under 50 in this one.
Yeah, I think you could easily see a 28-20 or a 27-17 kind of game here. This figures for me to be a typical SEC ground and pound type of game. I don't think there's going to be a ton of offensive fireworks in here, but I do see this one being a somewhat decisive Tennessee victory. I think Jarrett Guarantano leads them here.
All right, that's Chris Ruffalo joining me here on the Drive-Thru, guys. Now it's time for my pick. And we're going to be looking college football, Pittsburgh and Miami. And I'm going to take the Pitt Panthers at +10. After that loss to Clemson, the Miami Hurricanes must battle another strong defensive team in Pitt. The Panthers, 6th ranked defense in the league, holding opponents to under 300 yards a game. And they don't give up much yardage on the ground, just 1.7 yards. And, Kenny Pickett, an experienced quarterback, he saw action in his freshman season. Now he's a senior, throwing for 284 yards a game. De'Aaron King, a transfer from Houston. We saw what happened when they lost to Oklahoma. I know Dana talked about this last week, and that stuck in my head. It really tanked after that loss against Oklahoma. And, of course, last week it was 12-28. I think this is a really bad spot for Miami trying to bounce back against a team of this caliber defensively in Pitt. It's going to be very hard here to get up and face a defense like this. I think it's a bad opponent here to take on. So I'm going to look here at the +10. I did see some 10.5s, but for the show, the number here is going to be at +10 in this one with the Pittsburgh and Miami Hurricanes. And your thoughts on that one, Chris?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one that I'm going to have to sort of watch throughout the week to see where that line's at, because I do think Miami comes in and wins this game, but Tony makes some very good points. I mean, that's not necessarily a defense I'd want to face right after getting beat by Clemson, and it just feels like as much as I like to rag on Pitt, and I kind of did off the air before the show started, it just seems that Pitt also has a way of just hanging around and being involved in tight games, whether it's games they shouldn't be involved in or whether it's games that that they probably should have won by 14 or 17 points, that they're, for whatever reason, only winning by a touchdown. Pitt also has a sort of strong physical style, that, at least that it seems, that might counteract the finesse that a Miami have with De'Aaron King at quarterback. And for right now, I'm leaning towards the points as well. If I can get it around 10.5, I would lean towards Pitt. But the lower the number goes, if it gets closer to maybe a 7 or an 8, I might start to head towards Miami at that point, because I think it's an 8 to 10 point win.
Yeah, I think so. All right, as we put our pick up there, I know if you check the chat room, boy, we're seeing so many responses on this game. Oh, it's from the same guy. I wonder who. It's over on Pick Dogs. Don't forget to check us out on the YouTube channel. Check out those comments, because there's a lot going on as you're watching the show. You can also throw in your opinion, and we'll put them read them as well here on the drive-thru. All right, guys. What we're going to do now, it's time to recap today's show picks, and let's take a look, Chris, at who's on what. All right, Brian started us off today, and he said go ahead and take Atlanta Braves at plus 125 against those Dodgers. Kevin Thomas, I know he'd like 3, but he's going to have to be on record at 3.5 here against Tennessee. But he was confident with Buffalo. He think he can win by more than that number there. We're going to take Coastal Carolina with Chris Ruffalo. I should have put the plus 7 against Louisiana. L likes points in this one. Chargers, Saints, over 49.5 points in Monday Night Football. Yours truly took Pitt Panthers, plus 10 for the show. We did see that come down. I think it's plus 10 more. You can find 10.5, you can, against the Miami Hurricanes. And as always, ask my co-host, Chris, other than your play, which one do you like the best?
To tell you the truth, I really like that Buffalo Bills play that Kevin Thomas had. I just think that Buffalo's going to, like I said, sell out to stop Derrick Henry. You're going to force Ryan Tannehill to make some plays, even though he's shown in the past he can make them. I just like what Buffalo's done up to this point this year. And trust me, that's coming from a Patriots fan. So there's a little bit of extra merit to that. I'll tell you that much right now.
All right, that was our buddy Chris Ruffalo here on the drive-thru. All right, guys, thanks for joining us for today's show. As we reach the top of the hour, it's time to watch the games and win your bets. And let's remember, tomorrow we're back here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. More coverage. We'll have coverage of the Braves and Astros are going to be the primetime game. So we'll take a look at that game 3. Right now they're in progress here, Chris, and I think Rays are sitting pretty comfortably ahead.
Yeah, there goes. I had a personal bet on the Astros this afternoon, so I'm kind of watching that go up and smoke a little bit. But you know what? I still think we have a long way to go. 2-0, and if it ends up being 2-0 in this series, I think you're still looking at least a 6-game series. So let's see how everything goes the rest of the week.
Let's see how it goes. 4-1 here as Tampa Bay looking to close it out. It's not Castillo up there, it's Anderson. And looks like we are going to have... No, we got to run around here for Houston to open up the 9th inning. Troy, you got to cut some of that weight, brother. Had a hard time. I had time keeping on the bag there to get that one. So run around for the Astros, but we'll check it out tomorrow, guys. Join us 6 p.m. Eastern Time here on the drive-thru. Don't forget the morning show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll have Chris Ruffalo and Mitch, Rod, as well as Bitler on that show. So go ahead and check that out. All right, let's bring on the crew here. Wave goodbye, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.